It might not be your typical American jet, but it sure flies great.
Wow, that was quite the takeoff.
Hey there, I'm John. This is Two Brothers RC, and this...
So that I can trust them. I just swallowed a bug. Good God.
I mean, this... is the Freewing J-10 90mm.
Oh man, that is so freaking cool.
Flying in summer sucks, but it doesn't have to suck as hard when you're flying this beauty. The J-10 is the newest jet from Freewing, and it cost me $600. And in my opinion, it's quite a bargain for what you're getting. In today's review, the J-10 will be graded on the following metrics: landing gear, flight time, agility, fit and finish, and avionics and lighting. While other aircraft that we've reviewed use the same overall metrics, only those that apply to 80mm and 90mm jets will be the focus here. A scale jet isn't much of a jet if the landing gear are trash, so let's see how they hold up. The J-10 comes with pretty decent wheels, but they are a bit on the stiff side. Horizon Hobby has shown that jets like the Viper 70mm can have soft wheels that aid in shock absorption and reduce ground rollout noise. The suspension system is pretty top-notch with oleo-style struts on all three gear legs. Even dragging this plane through rough patches of the grassy pavement didn't faze it, even at high speed. I'd definitely say that it's grass capable, and this video from Icarus II on YouTube demonstrates my point. Consider giving Icarus some love and check his channel out. One thing that I will recommend for any grass pilot: make sure that you're checking the gear strut mounts regularly to ensure that grass operations aren't tearing the mounts loose from the foam. If that happens, use foaming brown Gorilla Glue to fix them back in place. Like most 90mm jets, you can expect 4 to 5 minutes of flight. Radio control tech hasn't quite advanced to the point where the kind of flying that I'm showing here is going to net you an average of 5 minutes in the sky. The Freewing 1960 kV motor is powerful and relatively efficient for a ducted fan, but it's unfortunately not possible yet to get this level of agility and have longer flight times on the SMC batteries that I was flying it on. At some point, motor tech will advance and we'll see longer flight times, but this is well within most 90mm jet flight time averages. As always, my 5-minute plus ranking here is a gentle poke at manufacturers to find a way to achieve an average of 5 minutes. It's a big ask, but I think it's worth asking.
So, let's check the CG real quick before we fly it. CG marks are where my fingers are right now. We are balancing behind that. Currently with an SMC 5300 pack right here. So about 10 millimeters behind the wing marks for our first maiden flight.
Agility is going to be a long one to cover, so you might want to get some snacks. This jet surprised me. For how heavy it is, it flies featherweight in the sky. Before we get to the setup guide at the end of the video, the first thing I'm going to tell you is never enable aileron functionality on all 4 Elevons. This is why.
Okay,
It's a nice roll.
yeah.
Okay, so that's the Freewing Mirage 80mm that I flew the day before, but it also has full span Elevons, and the roll rate on both of these jets is almost uncontrollable, if it's enabled.
Barely touching the stick to roll like that with the full span Elevons. I may have to actually take those out.
You don't have a choice in the Mirage, but you do with the J-10. I highly recommend using only the outboard Elevons for roll, and here's what that looks like.
So I made a change. I actually disabled the inner flap Elevon roll contribution. I did not like how fast it was rolling. Even with 70% expo, it was just too much. So I did keep the inboard Elevons for pitch, but I'm not using it on roll. So let's get that jet up in the sky and see what else she can do. Still rolls like crazy. I have to wonder, maybe it would make more sense to just use the inboard Elevons for roll. It would have less moment force. I mean, this is literally the roll force from the outboard. Not as bad as I thought, I guess.
This thing has some power to it. Yeah, I definitely like it better with the inboard Elevons turned off for roll. It was just way too much for me. I like to be able to have crazy roll rates, but not Mirage level roll rate. That was insane. Wow. I'm thinking it would be even better with the battery slammed all the way back. I'm thinking it would work. I'm thinking. Wow, I made it do kind of a crankshaft. That was cool.
I was gonna say, isn't that a 3D plane maneuver there?
Yeah, it was for a moment, and I barely had to touch the sticks to do that. That was cool. Thing feels great on the SMC 5900. It's just as agile as it was before. Probably a little bit more flight time as long as I don't peg the throttle too much here. Just gonna low pass right in front of the camera. Holy crap, dude. That thing's got some, it like flew sideways for a second there, it looked like. All right, what I'm gonna do now is one of the things that my buddy Airguardian / Alejandro from Spain recommends, which is I'm gonna start adjusting the trim, get the Elevons pointed upward, and I'm going to push the canards down to compensate. I think we're good now. I want the canards to point down because at this scale and even at full scale, canards are actually more of a moving slot that the air can be channeled through to keep air sticking to the wings at higher angles of attack. You can see the canards pointed down now as it's coming at us, which actually makes the plane much more agile as I'm maneuvering. Yeah, you can feel it on the sticks too as I push through these maneuvers. It is less resistant to the maneuvers that I'm making it do, and it's more recoverable as I push through them. So I'm gonna go through and backflip it. I'm gonna go vertical real quick with the canards pointed down and a little bit of up Elevon trim. We're gonna go up, and we're gonna backflip it. Holy crap, that makes a massive difference. Just pointing the canards down and pegging that stick made the thing backflip on itself. You know how much more insane this could be if I slam the battery all the way to the back? We're gonna have to do that at some point. I don't wanna crash this jet, but I think this is making it fly the way it's supposed to be flown, as a fighter jet should. Let's go ahead and get it into a high alpha circuit. Oh yeah, this thing's got power to spare. Look at that, the canards are helping stick the air to the wings as we keep the angle of attack up, and you can see them pointing down at us. Look at this thing go. That is the way a J-10 probably flies in reality. Look at it, nice and slow. Exactly how I was expecting it to fly. Just a little bit, oh man, you can see the butt slide around too as I just barely maneuver. Holy crap, dude. I didn't realize just a little bit of canard trim would be that effective. That's what happens when you talk to actual aerodynamicists about these things. Look how much more stable it is coming into land too. Oh, wow, that's a massive improvement. Oh man. So I'm thinking if we got the canards pointed down even more and slammed the battery back on this last flight, we might be in for some big trouble, or it could be the most amazing thing we've ever seen. Get you guys to press F to pay respects in chat if this doesn't go well. 22.46 volts. We still got plenty of power to fly. I'm in like John doesn't shut up mode right now because I'm having like the time of my life flying this thing the way it should be flown. I'm not even pegging the elevator. It's really just, it's maneuvering so well through here. Let's see if we can force it to go and experience a stall. So we're gonna go up and we're gonna put it into a minimum radius turn to see how it handles accelerated stalls. Oh, wow, it does drop a wing, but it's not unrecoverable. You saw with the canards pointed down that the plane basically just comes right out of it. Like it's not even a problem.
Let's get the gear drop, bring it in. I'm thinking we should slam the battery back. I'm thinking it'll handle it fine. I'm gonna try to tune a couple of things, maybe increase the gyro gains just a little bit to compensate. There we go. SMC 5900, I think we are gonna go all the way to the back here. Let's see if I can find a place to put it in here where it's not gonna, there we go. Get it slammed in there nice and good. Let's get the KMRC burner attached. I feel like this may not even be necessary, but we gotta test. So we were flying about 10 centimeters or 10 millimeters behind the wing marks a second ago. CG mark is right here. It is like going crazy right here. It's not too horribly different.
I mean, that's a whole finger and a half back from where you were.
What do you think I should do? Should I do it?
Adds up to you.
Well, go.
Let's go.
Here we go. Oh yeah.
What's up?
It's up. Ooh, I can feel it on the stick. I can feel it. Holy crap. That is agile AF. Let's go backflip. Holy shit. Holy shit. Did you see that thing?
I saw that thing.
How? What the? Okay, it is eminently flyable like this, but I am right now, I'm a little euphoric because I don't normally get my Delta jets to abuse angle of attack like that. So let's go up there and take that big girl up and just get her to do it right in front of those clouds over there. Just dead stops in the sky. And it's not unstable at all. Let's see if she's trimmed out. Feels like it so far. A little bit of up Elevon trim to compensate, and I think we are Gucci. Oh man, I feel like this battery mod might be something you guys want to do if you want to get the most out of this jet. You do have to be a little bit more careful when you're pulling it through high G maneuvers like that though, because you are going to experience an accelerated stall a little bit easier. So you got to be more cognizant of what speed you're flying as you induce high angles of attack when you fly. Let's see what it does when you go upside down. Not enough down elevator. What happens if I turn off all the gyro? It's still flyable with no gyro, thankfully. Let's go upside down, see what it does. Still points toward the ground, but it's almost neutral feeling, which is actually pretty incredible that I'm getting a jet to do this because I could not get Eurofighter to fly like this. So I'm glad we were able to test that. I don't know if I want to make this the thing I permanently do because I did notice it was causing the top of the canopy to get a little bit of cracking. But if I put some thin CA glue in there, you won't even notice it, I don't think. Dude, this thing is awesome. I can feel the difference in the way it flies. It's not hugely different. We probably could have flown it like this on the Maiden. Look, see the way it slides around? That's so freaking cool. That's when you can tell something's really got mass and inertia to it. That's when it really feels like a fighter jet and you're not just flying a Cessna that's shaped like a Death Dorito, which is not what you want when you're flying a fighter jet, at least in my opinion. I have like 40 gnats in front of my face, and I'm trying to see through a cloud of them as I land here. Here we go. Good God, this thing is, like if this thing had thrust vectoring, it would be insane. Let's go and backflip it in front of those clouds over there and get ready to land it. Yeah. That is basically FMS Rafale level. That is what I was looking for out of this jet, and I got it. The ability to backflip on a whim, almost on a dime within a fuselage length. I got it. This thing kicks some major ass. Now let's get it in and bring it into one piece.
Well, I said this would be long, so I hope you had something to eat. The J-10 hits all of my criteria for agility. Freewing completely outdid themselves here. Not only do we finally get full span Elevons, which are absolutely critical if you want to make this jet fly like the full scale and beyond, you also have the ability to slam the battery to the back for a great handling center of gravity with only a little bit of effort on your part. Just unbelievably good. I can't say enough good things about this jet in terms of agility.
Dude, wasn't that insane?
That was cool.
If you've ever flown a Freewing jet, you're not going to be surprised that we're giving the J-10 a 5 out of 5 in fit and finish. Freewing puts immaculate quality into their foam aircraft, from the paint to the lighting system. They're one of the few companies that does produce reliably good-looking aircraft out of the box, and it's something that I specifically enjoy about Freewing. Also, the thicker paint that they use can usually handle minor dings and scratches, like if you tip the plane over, because the narrow wheelbase doesn't tolerate tight turns at speed.
Good stuff. Oh.
Yeah, that's the only issue you got to worry about when you're dealing with a jet like this. When you got the gear that narrow, you do have the risk of tipping it over, and that was my mistake. Not really the jet's fault, but it is an issue to be concerned with when you're flying a jet with that narrow of a wheelbase. Just make sure that you don't turn too fast. Otherwise, that can happen. Not even a big deal. This little thing right here acted as a wing scrape protector. I don't even care. The jet's fine otherwise.
Awesome.
I think we got a slight little bit of scraping on the nose. Again, nothing a little bit of paint wouldn't fix, or even some black electrical tape if you really cared.
The servos are all metal, so that's awesome. What I don't like is that the stock servos don't have a lot of travel resolution. It's mostly noticeable on the Canards because they're so large. That's the main reason I replaced the Canard servos, because the aft center of gravity that I prefer requires precise servos to stay stabilized in the air, not just strong metal servos.
When we get into the setup guide in a little bit, one of the things you need to know is I've got the Canards doing the overwhelming vast majority of the stabilization. You can see the Elevons are doing a little bit of it, but nowhere near as much as the Canards are doing. These are massive control surfaces, and with the center of gravity being shifted to about right here, they do have more of an effect where I've got the CG placed. Also because they're so huge, it helps out a ton too. But this thing is doing so much work to keep the plane stabilized. So as I go and put it into these high G maneuvers, the Canards are going down to throw air over the top of the wing. So as the plane flies through the air, to help you guys understand this, as it was explained to me by Airguardian, as the plane flies through the air is shaped by the shape of the plane flowing through it. So the air goes under the Canard and then over the wing. So even if you think that this is the wrong trim, it's actually correct, because the Canards are still seeing a local angle of attack that's actually close to neutral or slightly positive even. So that's a good thing, because you want them to have the least amount of interference with the local airflow as you can get. In other words, it just makes it fly way better. It makes the air stick to the wing better. It makes it more resistant to stalls. You can get away with abusing high angles of attack, and in general, it just flies really, really good, I think, as I've demonstrated.
Coming in with an overall score of 23 out of 25, the J-10 is, in my view, one of the absolute best Delta wings that Freewing has ever made. Everything about it is basically perfect, except that it's difficult to hit 5-minute flight times if you're flying it like a fighter jet, and the wheels aren't as good as I would personally prefer them to be. If you want this jet, please consider picking it up via the link in the description below to help support us in what we do here at Two Brothers RC. Every purchase made using our affiliate links helps directly pay for more airplanes like this, so that we can showcase what they're truly capable of. And it's just a nice thing to do that doesn't cost you anything extra either. Now, if only Freewing would make an F-16 XL with this level of detail so we could have an American Death Dorito, I would be just ecstatic. Hear me out, Freewing. All I want for Christmas is an F-16 XL. Now let's hop into the setup guide and showcase what it will take to get your jet set up like mine. First off, you'll want to change out the servos to the AGF servos in the description. It'll set you back $40, but they're awesome. Well worth the price in my view, especially if you're going to gyro stabilize your Canards. I suggest moving the black box to the absolute back of the area behind the original box location, and put your receiver on the side in that little tunnel too. You'll have to carve a little bit of foam out to make this work. You'll also have to carve out some foam on the canopy to make it work too.
I cut all that out there. You can see where this used to extend all the way back here. All that's been cut out. I made this kind of flush too so that I could get the battery as far back in there as I possibly could, because otherwise the canopy would not close.
I also recommend removing the pilot figure to get the CG further back. Look, I'll be the first person to tell you that I know that this thing is a messy setup, but it's a proof of concept. You guys have the time to make it pretty. I gotta make these vids get out on time. To follow along with this guide, some preparation work is required. The first thing you need to do is unhook both signal leads, the white wires, from the ribbon cables. Unplug the cables from the black box and then use a pair of tweezers and insert them into the front of the ribbon connector to push the signal lead down so it'll slide out if you tug it out. It might take some time and some effort, so be patient and keep at it. The J-10's connectors look a little bit different because this is stock footage of me adjusting the Eurofighter in early 2023. Once you've freed the connectors, wrap the metal ends in heat shrink tubing to prevent any shorting of the connector pins on the receiver. Plug the ribbon cables back into the black box to power the servos, and then use a servo tester to identify which lead is what servo. Plug those into the receiver according to the receiver port assignment in the channel assign menu. If you've followed along this far, let's keep on going. You need to set your aircraft type to Elevon B and Canard +1 rudder. Aircraft type will determine how the AS3X gyro operates, along with predefining mixes so that you don't have to. If you're using an IX-20 or an NX-20, you can select the Canard tail type. If you're on an IX-14, you can visit the Two Brothers Discord server linked below and download the J-10 setup file and get Canard functionality from my setup file itself. So long as you don't change the aircraft type with your IX-14, you'll always have Canards as an option to use for that particular model. This mixing guide is assuming 150 travel on all surfaces where possible. I use 125% rates on aileron and elevator in the dual rate menu to max out travel and roll and pitch. Otherwise, the Elevon system only uses 75% of the available travel unless you peg the stick in roll and pitch. The first mixes I'll demonstrate will be the pitch control for the two inner Elevons. This is a mix of the elevator system to the flap channel, which is the right inboard Elevon. 74% and 74% produces 150 travel when the stick is pegged. You can copy this mix and create another mix of elevator to AX2. This will provide the pitch response on both inboard Elevons. If you want roll on the inboard Elevons, which I don't recommend, you can create a mix for each servo. Aileron system to the flap channel set to 74 and 74 will augment roll. For the left Elevon to actuate and roll as well, create another aileron system to AX2 mix and set the values inverted to -74 and -74. Again, I don't recommend this, but it's your plane, so proceed with caution. If you want to adjust the canards in flight, create a mix of the left trim switch to the elevator channel and set the rate to 100 and 100. This allows you to adjust the positioning of the canards dynamically. The trim is very effective with the B13 servos due to how much travel resolution they have compared to the stock units. This is one of the reasons why I recommend them highly in a setup like this. I'll suggest also that you run the nosewheel servo to the receiver directly on its own channel so that you can use a curved mix. This is a rudder to AX3 mix, and the endpoints can be adjusted to get a similar graph. This significantly softens the nosewheel steering around the center of the stick and prevents it from tipping over easily. Steering trim allows you to adjust the nosewheel center point without doing it by picking up the plane and hoping that you got it right every single time. This is a simple mix of the right trim switch to the AX3 channel, rates set to -50 and -50. For the final two mixes, you'll need to have adjustable gains set in forward programming. Define the two channels that you'll want to use for roll and pitch and yaw gains, then set the AS3X gain sensitivity to 4x and the gains to 35 roll, 65 pitch, and 25 yaw. These settings worked well for me, but everyone has personal preferences. Adjust this to your tastes after getting some flights in. Over to mixing, my roll gain mix has three values, 30, 20, and 0%. As throttle is advanced, the amount of gain goes down significantly. For the pitch and yaw mix, it's set up similarly as a curved mix with 45, 25, and 10% as the 3 points governing the gains based on throttle position. If there's something here that I didn't cover, hop on our Discord server and ask in the tech and setup channel for personal assistance. Even though the channel is getting huge, I try to answer everyone that I can, and if I'm not around, the community is happy to help too. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.